This episode is brought to you by Good Charlotte. Good Charlotte is a band I started when I was 16 with my brother, and it is the reason I'm sitting here today. Thank you, Good Charlotte. We're going on tour July 25th through August 30th. Good Charlotte and Avenged Sevenfold touring in the U.S. Starting July 25th, Thunder Ridge Nature Arena in Ridgedale, Missouri, and ending at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, California on August 30th. If you are in the UK or Europe, we're coming to you this November. November 8th, we are in Stockholm, Sweden. November 11th, we're in Munich, Germany. November 13th, we're in Brussels, Belgium. November 14th, Dusseldorf, Germany. In November 16th, we're in Amsterdam. November 17th, Paris, France. November 19th, London, UK. November 20th, Manchester, UK. Tickets are on sale now. We will see you at the show.
My entry point to making music was like a little kid, you know, and like it was like a grief outlet initially, you know. It was like, and
what was that?
I had my uncle who was like kind of really a central figure in our family's life, passed away at 39, you know, and I was a kid. I think I was 8, maybe turning 9 at the time. And the piano became the place that I put that.
On bad times, I don't want to have bad.
How connected do you feel to like where you came from? Like musically speaking?
That's a tough one to answer. I mean,
honestly.
Honestly, like I feel connected in the sense that so much of coming up in that scene taught me how to do what I do, right? I don't think if I didn't have to come up against being like the kid with the piano playing at the Warped Tour to like middle fingers in the air and all of that, I don't think it would be as tough as I am now, you know? But even then it was like, I was so confused when Drive-Thru wanted to sign something corporate because I didn't even know who Drive-Thru Records was. You know, I didn't listen to punk music. Other than like growing up in Orange County and like Blink and, you know, like obviously that was like in the water there. And so I heard those songs and liked those songs, but those weren't the bands that I followed. And so when all of a sudden we were on bills with like Finch and Newfound and you guys, I was like, how does anybody even like our band? And you know, like it didn't make sense to me at the time. Yeah. Now it makes perfect sense, you know, like, but I think I don't think that, like, I think now when you look at the scene now, it's like, oh, Something Corporate was a part of that scene. But at the time we were like, you know, having
outliers.
It was, you know, but in a weird way, I think that was like kind of punk rock in a way, you know,
it was one of the appeals for sure. Like you guys were like, I think we came up in a time that things were like really marketed as in categories because that's how it was back then. Like, like now it's different. Like kids stream. So it's a playlist. Yep. And it's got everything on it. It's a YouTube playlist. It's got everything on it. It's it's kind of like if you go into my pantry, you're going to see like a bunch of different categories of food. And like these are snacks. Yep. These are ingredients to cook meals. These are, and you if you organize that way and you go kind of like, oh, music is similar. It's like, it gives us different nutrients for different things and it feeds different things at different times. Some stuff is a snack. Some stuff is a meal. You listen to a record. It's like more. So if we zoom out and we realize like the marketing aspect of our career and how at the time we were marketed. Yeah. And we were eager to play. So if someone said, hey, there's this Warped Tour, you're like, I know Warped Tour. I'm from Orange County. Of course I know Warped Tour. I think we can get you on there. You're like, great.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. It was never even in our, like, we never even imagined that for ourselves. Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, I was like listening to like Semisonic and the Counting Crows and Ben Folds, you know, and I had gone to see Newfound. I'd taken like a girlfriend to see Newfound Glory. And I was like, and I was really into it. I saw him open for Face to Face. I think I was a senior. It was maybe a year after I graduated. And I was like, oh, this is sick. I've never been to a show like this, you know? And then when I saw that Newfound was on the roster for Drive-Thru and they were reaching out really eager to sign us, I was like, I went to that show. Those kids would kick the out of my band. You know, like that was how I was like, nobody's going to mosh at a something corporate concert. But I think to your point, at that stage of the game, it was like there was sort of a cult around the labels and the bands that were a part of this thing. And it mattered more, I think, to fans that you were a part of the cult than it necessarily, not to say that the music didn't matter. The music mattered, but I think we were able to sort of skate being sort of a softer band that played ballads and played the piano, because people were like, well, if Drive-Thru thinks they're cool and Newfound is going to take them on tour, then they must be okay. You know, despite there were definitely people in those camps that were like, what is this? You know, like, and we got a lot of that. And it toughened me up, and it toughened all of us up, and definitely made us want to be better at playing. And certainly it influenced our music. And once we were in the sort of the swirl of it, and these were the bands that we were touring with, and like loved being on the road with those bands, and made some lifelong friendships and things that part of it, I think, is still so deeply sort of in my bones.
Yeah. It's funny, everyone has that experience though.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? We did too.
True.
Like, we did too. So did Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
So did fucking, you go to some place and you are an outlier somewhere. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
Well, I think that was I also think that was what was sort of a unifying thread with those acts. And as we got into like having deeper personal relationships with the guys in those bands, was that there was a thread of like, well, all of us didn't totally fit somewhere, you know? And so I think, and now I see that so clearly, like, oh, that's what bonded us to this music and to these bands. But I think it's also what bonded the fans, and the sort of culture that came up around it was this sense that it was like, well, we're not, like, it was kids that weren't like they didn't buy into like fully into pop music, but they liked pop music, but they wanted a different texture and a different, you know, and they wanted to feel like it was for them and it wasn't for everybody, you know, even though sort of we were all a part of an era where it started becoming for everybody. But I do think that there was this universal thread of like, yeah, we don't fully fit in, and we found some place to fit in. And that was really beautiful.
It's funny. I always think about like, it was all pop music.
Oh yeah.
Like, in my opinion.
And there were love songs.
And
you know what I mean? Yeah,
whatever it is, I was never conflicted.
No.
About what I did.
100%.
In the sense of like, I want to make music that's like at the scale of like a global successful artist.
Totally.
Which is popular music, which is pop music, which is pop songs, which is when you think of whether it's like you love the Beatles or you love Tom Petty or you love the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's music that serves millions.
Yeah. Well, and that was the funny thing for me going into it, because that's all I ever wanted to do. Like, I thought of us as like a pop rock and roll band, you know? And so, and it was funny to all of a sudden be in a culture where there was like people talking about selling out and like, you know, like, and that was, and that was such a thing. I mean, I remember like, oh, you know, and I remember people being like, you know, saying things like that, whether it was to us or to other bands. And I was just like, what do you mean, like reaching more people? You know, it's like, it's
also, you've known about my band for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And you've suddenly become an expert on us.
Totally.
And me as a person and my ethos and my morals and my values that you are saying I've changed. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
By the way, like there's nothing concrete about art. It's all this objective, subjective, perspective driven, unique thing that like, if I stand on this side of the room and look at that painting, or I stand on that side of the room and look at that painting, or I get close up on it, it changes every time.
Yep.
And so with art, it's interesting when you get into the commerce side of art, which is a very interesting thing when you have people who are emotionally attached to something.
Right.
So that's why I understand it. I'm not angry about it. Like when someone's like this or that to me, I'm like, that's an interesting perspective.
Well,
right? Even if it's about me.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I always laughed about it. And there were things that made I think, and I don't know if you were the same, but I think there were things that I was like sensitive to only by virtue of being sort of a part of this scene that we got adopted into, that like, where you're like, well, what are they gonna think? If you know what I mean? Like I remember when Hollister clothing launched, they came to us because it was like, it was like a limited company brand, right?
Yeah.
Like born in Ohio where I grew up, but they wanted like it was going to be a Southern California brand.
Total Southern California. Yeah.
And they were starting to launch stores, and they wanted something corporate because we were like the SoCal band, right? And I remember us like talking about it. It was just like, and it was like a lot of that. It was like, well, should we do this? But it was like they were going to put something corporate t-shirts in Hollister. They were going to put our posters up. There was going to, so there was going to be thousands of stores across the country opening.
Huge
and
marketing.
Yeah. And I remember us just being like, and we were earnest in our early 20s and like worried about what that was going to look like. And eventually we're just like, well, like, isn't our goal to get to as many people as we can? It's not changing our music, like we made the record already. Like put our picture on the t-shirt and let's freaking go,
I think that was just a function of experience. And now you're this extremely accomplished, experienced, grown person.
I try to be.
Right? Like, think about it. Like you've lived many lifetimes in the music business.
Yeah.
I'd say like a few years as a lifetime, the way I see it.
Yeah.
And you've lived many, many, many lifetimes in the music business. You're less sensitive, less emotional about probably a bunch of things you would have been back then.
100%.
And you're more sensitive and emotional about some things you probably didn't value as much back then.
True.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't value myself, I think, as much as I valued people's perception, the perceived scene that I thought I was a part of, the perceived brands I thought mattered in that scene, the perceived people I thought mattered in that scene. The only reason I would value their opinion over mine is if I put them above me.
Right.
Right. So I came into it like, well, I guess these are the people that decide.
Yeah.
And I need to be whatever accepted or I need to be whatever at the time, because I had no experience. I just came into the world from a small town in the middle of nowhere in Maryland, and I thought I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Instead of giving myself credit as an artist and going like, who knows what I know? But this is how I feel.
Yep.
Right? Like that's how I am more today.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't know what I know. I know what I've experienced. I could draw on that. I'm not the all-knowing, wise older guy in a scene at all.
Yeah.
I know what I've experienced.
Yeah.
I know some concrete truths that have appeared over time.
And you know what you like.
And I know what I like.
Yeah.
And I know how I feel.
Yep.
And so I can come from that now as a grown person in this business and go, this is how I feel. If that changes, I'll let you know. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, it was interesting for me because I never felt like we fully fit in.
Yeah.
In the scene that we sort of were a part of coming up. It was like I was always trying to break out of it. Not out of a lack of respect for it, because it gave me everything.
You were just trying to find your people.
Yeah, but I was like, I feel like because as you probably well know, it was like, and you guys managed to make pop music that exploded beyond sort of where we all came from. I think there was this weird thing, like, when something corporate would go to like radio, where it was like, well, we weren't a punk band. We didn't make punk songs, but there were like 4 or 5 slots for punk music on the radio, right? At that point.
Right.
And I was like,
That's
but we don't
how it
make that, we were like making like sort of like pop rock and roll music. We would probably, if we weren't in this scene, would have been marketed in a completely different way. But in a sense, I don't know that it's true. I think it was much more helpful than it was limiting. But as far as breaking through to the other side where more people heard what I was doing, it was limiting in that sense, like and in reaching the larger sort of popular culture. And I was always just like, why am I having this conversation with my label about, oh, well, they're already playing these punk records. I'm like, did you guys listen to our record? Like, there's nothing punk about what we're doing. Like, those are our friends and those are the bands we tour with, but like, that's not what we do. And truthfully, I think the reason I've constantly rebranded and shifted sounds and names and all of those things has been like almost out of an effort to just like, well, where else can I go? Like, is there another horizon, or is there another audience? Like let's build this culture of fans who like what I do, but let's go on, exploring and see what else there is. And I think that's like largely why Jack's Mannequin came about, was like, we were burnt. And I was like, well, what if I make just like a totally different sounding record with my same voice, you know, and where does that go? And it did help me reach sort of new audiences. And I think every time I've rebranded and started a new project, it's been a part of that exploration, you know, but it's been an interesting road, you know, because I was like, well, I don't fit here. I don't fit there. Where do, you know, and for years, nobody knew where to put me, you know, which has been kind of my brand, weirdly, at the end of the day.
Yeah, but you love making records.
I love making songs.
You love writing songs.
It's just songs for me.
And you like to perform.
Love it.
Right. So what I hear, the value is I want to make music.
Yeah.
And I want to find places where I can make music. And I'm not limited to the structure of an idea that other people have. Yeah. The only idea I have is I want to make records and make music and perform it. And that's what I love to do. And the survival in you, right? The animal that just goes forward and finds the food and water and sun is like, where can I go to do this thing that I need to do, which is make music, write songs, perform.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the amazing thing about drive.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, my entry point to making music was like a little kid, you know, and like it was like a grief outlet initially, you know. It was like, and
what was that?
I had my uncle who was like kind of really the central figure in our family's life, passed away at 39, you know, and I was a kid. I think I was 8, maybe turning 9 at the time. And the piano became the place that I put that. And so I've had a lot of time to think about this. Obviously, it's like, you know, I'm in my 40s now, and it's like a 2-part thing for me, right? So it's like the drive is one, and I think it's all born of that initial introduction to music, which was, it helps me connect to myself, right? It helps me sort of like find the subconscious things that I'm not dealing with in my lived life, and answer questions that are underneath the surface that I'm not really willing to face.
Yeah, you discover things.
Yeah, so it's like, so it's that first. But then it quickly became a way for a very awkward kid to belong somewhere. You know, it became a way for the youngest of 5 in a family of amazing athletes, and, you know, and a lot of noise and a lot of chatter, and, you know, like
everyone's accomplishing things.
Yeah. And I'm just this weird kid that's not into any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and all of a sudden, oh wait, I'm a songwriter now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and these things that I do at home that make me feel like whole, you know, like this puzzle piece that helps me understand myself now is also the thing that gets me external validation. It helps me make friends,
win trophies, you
know. Yeah. It helps me, you know, establish my sort of place in the world.
What sports were celebrated in your house? Like what
soccer.
Were the big soccer house? But your siblings were just like,
my 3 oldest siblings were just gangster soccer players.
Right. Just dedicated. The house ran around soccer schedules. But everything.
I mean, they could do anything. It was like they skiing when snowboards, like, I mean, this is how old I am. Like snowboards had just been made, you know, like the first Burton board comes out and now they're snowboarders, and they could, you know, they were, I mean, they're amazing. And I'm like so close to my siblings. My sister was like she played basketball and field hockey, and you know, and was really smart. And I was just kind of this like fat little kid who just like,
really?
Totally, you know, but I could play the piano and I could sing these songs, and like, you know, so I would play, and my sister's friends would come over and they'd be like, what's going on over there?
You're like the chubby, awkward piano playing little brother.
Yeah. And like, so I did theater, and you know, and like,
it's like a movie.
Yeah. And so you know, and that's still with me, you know, it's like, it's still like, I think I'm much more confident in who I am outside of music now than I've ever been. And I'm much more settled in myself, and I don't need it for my identity.
Yeah.
But
good.
When I get into like writing mode, and when I'm really in it, the drive is like, find the song that makes you feel like you're telling some truth, and find the audience, the biggest audience possible for that song. You know, like that is still so baked in. Like, and I, you know, like if I put out a song that I think is amazing and is so satisfying when I'm writing it and recording it, and it falls on deaf ears, I'm like, it's dead to me.
Really?
You know? Yeah. Like, you know, it really like,
I feel that. I understand that.
You know, and in this modern landscape, it's like, it really is taking a lot of effort. I'm finally there, like where I'm like, okay, worry about this second. You know, like the fitting in, the finding the audience, worry about it a second, make the process soulful, make it about connection with your collaborators.
Right.
Make it about connection with whether it's another writer or the producer or the musicians that are playing on it. Have that be the first point.
But could we, forgive me, I'm not cutting you off. I'm just stopping because I want to pull some things out because our careers are examples of the human process and growth.
Yep.
And so it's a very, it's a bunch of things. But that being said, so I want to highlight experience with if something doesn't hit.
Yeah.
This is what I hear. This is why I think you should, this is why I think owning it is good. I think you do own it, but I think owning it is good. Some artists are afraid to own that because it makes them feel like they're less of an artist, but that's not true. So what I hear is someone who wants to have impact. I want to feel like what I'm doing has impact.
Yep.
And when I don't feel like what I'm doing has impact, I need to examine it because I don't want to waste time doing things that doesn't feel impactful. It's not about money. It's not about size. It's about impact.
Yeah.
And what is perceived as valuable to a culture of people, right? So if I'm not making something that is not having an impact in the world I live in, then what am I doing? So I say that out loud because it's okay to be a serious guy. Like I look at myself and I go, I'm super serious about some things. And then there's other things I can identify that I don't care as much about.
Yeah.
And then it helps me organize and own like the parts that I'm serious about.
Yep. It's funny too, because like I think, and you tell me if you're different, but I think when I started in music, I don't think I really understood I was in a process, right? Like it was like this self-discovery, right? And like writing songs and working with the band in the garage and going to shows and all of that was like, I was just what I did, right? I think in my life now, I mean, it's taken me years to figure out, I was like, no, this was like, it was about time. It was like an effort and grinding. And I did all those things because I loved it and I did them more than most people. And that's how I got successful, right? It was like, I put the time in because I was so in love with it. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is like, if you have a goal, but you're not in love with the process of achieving that goal, you're probably not going to get there. And if you do, you're probably not going to be at the top of your field or whatever it is you're seeking. You're better off to seek something that's attached to some drive that makes you want to get up and do it all the time. You know?
That old, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. It's not true, but it is true. You won't suffer as much from the work.
You're going to work harder probably than anybody.
That's so true because the organic nature of process in any process, including what we do, is I always tell artists when I talk to them at this company at MDDN, we get a lot of conversations with developing artists. Like it's part of what we love to do. We love finding new. It's exciting.
Good good.
And it's an interesting thing to. In general, people don't believe something until it's materialized fully.
Yeah.
Fully developed, fully baked, fully cooked, fully in the world, and on its third hit, right?
Yep.
So on your first hit, they go, well, they write you off. Second one, they write you off. So you know what I mean? So artist development's a funny thing because you have to believe in things that don't exist yet, like a career.
Yeah.
And then you also have to acknowledge that like, just because someone isn't signed or they haven't had their first hit or whatever, doesn't mean they don't have a career. They're at the beginning. Right. You have to look at it like more organic. So I always say we do what we can with what we have. And then we get more. And then we do what we can with what we have. And then we get more. And then we do what we can with what we have. And what happens when you expand is just like in the gym, you go in the gym and you can lift 100 pounds. And if you show up every week, in a few weeks, you'll be able to lift 110. Yep. And in a few weeks, you'll be able to lift 120 and so on and so forth.
This is not an analogy that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm just throwing it out there.
Metaphorically speaking, you know, the muscles that we have of course. And the process of gaining that is just reps. Yeah. And then inside those reps, it's the quality of the rep. And then there's levels to it, right? Yeah. So when we're in a process, anyone can take this and apply it to themselves. Anyone listening right now, whether they're in a job, a relationship, a health journey, whatever journey they're on, this applies to all journeys.
Yeah.
We do what we can with what we have, where we are. You can say, I want to be there. And you can even go into a room and say you're there. And you may get away with it for a long time, actually. The fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe that you have to believe in yourself and you have to do everything you possibly can with what you have.
I agree with you. And I think the trick of technology and like in the modern time that we live is for learning to forget the overlay of the technology for a second. Right. I think there are shortcuts. There've always been shortcuts built in everywhere, right? Whether it's, now, can you get a viral thing to happen on TikTok, whatever these things are, right? But I think that we lose sight of it when we get too in the weeds of like, well, what is happening right now in this moment that we can game to get where we need to get, right? Like, I think all of that stuff existed, but the work still has to be there. It's what you're talking about, right? Like, you still have to wake up and want to write every day if you want to have a career as a songwriter. You know what I mean? You still have to go play hundreds of shows if you want to have a career as a performer and you want people to buy tickets. Like, and I think there is that, it's like, I think we lose sight of that sometimes. And I think it's swinging back in a way, but like all of like, for when the obsession became with every label was like, well, let's look at the data on the who's having this or that happening right now in this moment on TikTok. And you realize, well, like, you might have a genius who's doing the work who has that moment, and you might have a kid that just accidentally stumbled onto something. Who do you sign, right? And it's like, I think the most important thing is what we're talking about, which is like the passion, the work, the hunger. Like, I'm always keep an eye on hunger. That's like that to me is the thing. Do you want it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It takes.
If I don't have that hunger, it's like, I don't go. It's like, but when that starts, when I feel that inside of me bubbling up and it's like, oh, I'm hungry again. I want it. That's when I write good songs. That's when I come up with a thing that actually matters, that people are paying attention to. And that gives me that satisfaction of like connecting to myself, connecting to the world, to the community or to a larger group of people, in the culture. That has to sort of precede everything, in every era of this business. And we've survived how many weird iterations. I mean, it's like we came up
so many,
we came up and it was like, everybody's like, oh, Napster, oh, and you're like, oh, well, that actually helped us, like it worked for us, right? Yeah. It didn't work for the labels that were signing us. No. There's been so many of these watershed moments where it seems like the culture is going to upend everything. Now it's AI, right? And that's scary, right? But is it going to supplant the guy and the woman waking up every day and going, I love music so much, I'm just going to write my heart out? That's going to win.
You know what's wild? I thought about the other day. Well, you just said Napster, and before that, it was burning CDs. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember, like our era,
an art form
in 2000 was burning. Everyone would burn CDs, and they'd write, the name and that whatever. And like, I'm just saying this. Like, I don't care how people consume music.
No, they as long as you can get it to them, that's all that matters.
Also, it was dubbing tapes. Remember in the 90s,
we would call radio stations with our cassette locked and loaded, so that we could record the song
that you wanted to hear. And
then we would that would be like, oh, like, I'm not going to wait around for the radio to play it. And we would just dub a tape off the radio.
There's never going to be, in my opinion, the way I look at it is this. I've made peace with it. And maybe, and by the way, like, I say this as just how I feel. I'm not saying this should be applied anywhere, because I understand where labels are coming from. I understand where artists are coming from. I understand where artist managers are coming from, publishers, blah, 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 blah. Everybody who's slicing up the turkey, I understand where they're all coming from. I have always looked at a Basquiat painting that he sold to somebody for $5,000. That's now worth $20, $30 million. Yeah. That's changed hands a bunch of times, and a bunch of people have made money off of it.
Yep.
Not Basquiat. That painting that he made he will never have benefited and now his estate will work his name. They'll sell his name. They'll monetize his name because of those paintings, and it all works together. And it's the way that art. It's the way of the good, the bad, and everything in between for art.
Every devil is going to ride the shoulder of the artist.
Right.
That is just the way it is.
And every artist is going to suffer, and the ones who make it are still going to suffer. And they're also going to have, in some way, shape, or form, the benefit of the culture, of recognizing their art as important and blah, blah, blah. So it's always going to be something that you can never quite make sense of every which way and say, well, there's only one way we should do it, and this is how it would be fair. But listen, I think, dude, you've had decades of a career that like are hard earned. Yeah. And we both come from a scene that kind of like got dismissed in a weird way as like totally kiddie music or something. And it actually was artists making real records, impactful records. And like I said, in a time where you couldn't track CD sales, you couldn't track downloads, you couldn't. Yeah. So that didn't go on our scorecard. No. You've sold millions of records, I sold millions of records, whatever. It's still like a fraction of it got tracked. Yeah. It was the beginning of the wild, wild west of people being able to take whatever they wanted. And I never had a problem with it. But like we actually are feeling, I think in this time, the actual influence of our music.
Oh my God. Yeah.
More than we did at the time.
Well, I think the combination of age and being aware, but actually seeing, like, it was funny. Like Chris and I, Caraba, we did a like reunion before we were young and all this stuff was happening. And I was like, but I love that guy. We were just homies. And it was like, let's go on tour together. And I remember sort of in that moment being like, feeling like we were at the beginning of a wave that was starting to sort of crest. And then all of a sudden it was like, We Were Young festival and all these things. And it was just like, whoa, the appetite. And and it made me appreciate it so much more, I think. Like, I don't know how you feel, but seeing it come back around, all of a sudden I was like, I feel way more proud of it than I ever did at any point in my career.
Absolutely. I appreciate it more.
Yeah.
And I think I finally go to all of us, to you, to me.
Yeah.
You know what? You guys were like good. You guys were like hardworking kids who wanted to do something impactful. And you weren't always allowed to say that.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to be ambitious. You weren't always allowed to say that you just wanted to do something like where we started. You just wanted to do something that felt valuable, that felt impactful, that would leave a lasting mark on the world. And that's a good thing.
It should be whatever you're doing.
It's aspirational to want to leave your mark.
Yeah.
And it's every human being deserves to try and put their signature on life and on the world and carve out a little thing that feels like they made an impression.
What else are we here for?
Yeah.
And I don't think it has to be big. It's just like, what do you stand for? Yeah. What do you believe in? And how do you further that in what you do every day?
How do you express yourself? Yeah. And then what are you working on now? Like, what are you here to talk about anything that you're...
not really. We did this thing at Red Rocks last year called Three Pianos. So I put out a book called Three Pianos, which is sort of like about my relationship with the three most important pianos in my life. And it sort of tells the stories of my life and my bands and my music against the backdrop of these conversations with my pianos. So last summer we did a Red Rock show. So all three bands, all three pianos on stage. And
that's cool.
We sort of move through like a set with each band, and then everybody comes together, and I'm bouncing from one piano to the next, and all three bands are playing together, and we're playing each other's songs. I've been a guy who's like, at lucky best, maybe 4,000 tickets is like a huge show for me.
It's a big show.
Yeah, great. This is not me complaining. I'm so proud of what I've been able to do, and the fact that I can feed my family doing it. Red Rocks was like 9,000-10,000 people, sold out.
Red Rocks
sold out
iconic.
Within minutes of the show. Yeah. And it was like, because we got everybody together, and it was like this beautiful thing where, for me, selfishly, I got to live all of my music in one place with all the guys I made it with. And for fans, I think it was cool because there are people who've just followed this thing and have been so kind to go with me from one project to the next, to have it all be in one spot. So we're going to do 3 more of those in August. So we're going to do Philly, Chicago, and Long Beach, which I'll be careful what you wish for because
did they all sell out?
I think the first two are like close. These are of course we picked bigger venues than the Rocks.
Yeah.
I think the first two will. Long Beach is like
sell out.
It's a venue that's just been built. It hasn't even actually been finished yet. So I'm kind of like hoping, that as people start seeing shows there, that it'll be like okay. But it's gonna. I mean, it'll do well.
It's gonna do great.
It'll be the biggest show I've sold in LA for sure.
It's gonna be great.
But yeah, so those are going great.
I don't even know why I asked if it's sold out, but
come.
Red Rocks selling out is a super iconic.
It was one of the more important nights in my whole career.
It's incredible.
It was really special.
Yeah, congrats.
So we're doing that. Like I'll do a bunch of sort of solo acoustic stuff just because we've done these 2 years of reunions with Jackson Something Corporate over the last 2 years. I'm kind of like craving sitting at a piano by myself in front of a crowd and just like winging it. So I'll do a little bit of that this year. And then we have 2 symphony shows in November for my foundations. I'm a cancer survivor. I have a charity called the Dear Jack Foundation, which we do programs for adolescents and young adults facing cancer. So our big benefit this year is in Denver, and we're doing 2 nights with the Denver Symphony.
Amazing.
Yeah, which is going to be cool.
How long has it been now since you beat cancer?
It was 20 years this past summer.
Jeez.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Unreal. Having that experience, did it really make you like health focused? Like,
no. Oh my God.
How do you explain?
Oh my God. No, I mean, I'm
just saying like
now.
20 years of,
oh God, it was a nightmare.
20 years cancer free is like, is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's an incredible thing to say.
Thank you.
So I feel it. How do you do that?
Well, initially in the worst way humanly possible, I was like, how hard can I part? Like the second I was off the leash, like I did anything and everything to prove that I was alive. Right. I'm talking
wind
like,
suits.
Is there a water tower? Let's climb that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just anything to put my physical person in danger.
Wow.
For like 5 or 6 years. I was just like, that's what I want to do.
Man.
All the drugs,
really?
Everything. It was not everything,
but almost.
Yeah, but
everything.
I mean, it was like, I wanted so badly to reclaim my existence and prove that I was untouchable. And it was so unhealthy. I mean, it was like, thank God for my wife. She saved my life. She was like, you are going to go see a therapist now or you're on the street. Like, it was like, and I was like, okay, and that was like when my life post-cancer really started. And that was probably 5-6 years into my recovery.
Wow.
And now it's like, yes, now I'm like, I'm very health conscious and I eat well and I'm either surfing or in yoga like every day. Like I'm just,
Good for you, man.
And I care much more about it now. I'm also like in my 40s now. So I'm just like, can I Benjamin Button this a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, can I work
Looks
backwards?
like you are.
I'm trying, but
you look great.
Thank you. And so do you. I mean, like I think we've done a good job. I was like thinking about us on your
when we first met. Yeah.
I mean, you guys took us on a tour that I still to this day, more than any other tour I've been on, fans first saw me at the shows that we played with you guys. I think it was like right before North came out, our second Something Corporate record. And you guys were so generous, took us on that tour. And I just think, we were freaking kids.
You guys were, it was
such a fun tour.
You guys were awesome and it was awesome and it was a cool time. And I always felt you were exactly like you are now.
I was way more stoned though.
Well, but you were an open, yes. Accepting, positive person, and that's what I've always kind of been drawn to. That. I love it when I'm with someone I don't need to prove anything to. It feels like for me, we were coming up in a scene where it felt like around every turn we had to prove something to someone, and I was like, I just want to play music and I want to be successful and I want to have a shot to do the best I can.
And you did it to the fullest. I mean, it was always impressive to us, like watching how you guys ended up straddling that line and blowing past it, and I think, and at a time where like you're saying, I think there was a propensity for people in that world to sort of like want what you guys had, but also want to sort of on anybody that got it.
Yeah, because they were in conflict with themselves.
Yeah, of course. And I just always had such an appreciation for it and the way that you opened the door for us. Like, I mean, you took us on an arena tour. I don't think we ever played in an arena. And you took us out for like, you know, I think it was it the Lifestyles? Was that a tour?
On the second album, yeah. It was the first arena tour we ever did.
Yeah. I mean, and it was like, I just remember like we were walking around and like, you know, what is it, like the Target Center or whatever it is, and just being like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. You know, and I was like secretly writing songs. I think that were going to become the Jack's Mannequin record at my piano and sitting in the hallways, and we'd all run into each other in the hallways. And it was like, I think it's what you guys have built is amazing. The fact that we're sitting in your like sick offices, like, you know, like, but I think you always had that. Like me, I've always like, I'm just sort of like, I'm scrappy, you know what I mean? Like I run lean, but I'm always fighting. It's like, you guys built a fucking empire. It's like, and I have such an appreciation for the mind, the music and the mind of like, how do we take this and, you know, raise up new artists and have our hands in things that people wouldn't dream of. It's really pretty cool.
Thank you. I think it's just world building.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Just building out your own little world and continuing to build on it like you have.
Yeah.
And then what I've always found is I'm not in conflict with myself. And when it feels like coming from that scene, it felt like people were conflicted.
Yes.
And I wasn't. And so when I learned how to step away and just ask myself, like, how do I feel? Instead of how do you feel? How does he feel?
Yeah.
Then I could make a decision that I felt good about. And not be conflicted, even if that whole group of people who've known me for all of 2 years or 5 years or 3 seconds, they still don't know me.
Yeah.
I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm not here to stop anyone.
I love that. I'm not here to hurt anyone. It's
no.
Like, yeah.
And I'm not here to stop anyone from living their very best life and of achieving all their dreams. I am a cheerleader through and through for everyone.
Love that.
I'm not in conflict with anyone. I learned how to be secure in myself, and that took time, therapy, all that same stuff. You find a great person. Again, what's the power of a partner, your wife, who believes in you and loves you? She doesn't think that going up on a tower and risking your life is cool when it's the person she loves.
Yeah.
And therefore, she's not blinded by the fantasy of the rock and roll thing or fame or money or this or that. They just see a person they love and they go, I want you to live a long time and be happy. And this doesn't look like that.
Yep.
And when you find more and more of those people, my wife's been incredible in that way. You double down on just being yourself.
Yep.
And for me, being me is not partying or being a rock star. It's just like being happy.
Yeah.
And for me, happiness is a simple thing. It's pretty simple. It's like, be in a place I like to be, work with people I like, do things I love, and be healthy. It does feel good to be healthy. What we were doing when we were younger is, I think, the risky behavior, the destructive behavior, all that is something like, I don't value myself.
Well, I think it's also like, I think that I haven't given as much credit to the fact that it's also like we were in our teens and our 20s.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just do that.
Yeah.
But we got to do so much more of it because we had a license to. You know, it's like usually like, well, you're in college, well, you kind of got to like pass.
Yeah.
You know, like for us, you could pass and excel at being an absolute lunatic because people loved it.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
You got celebrated.
Like, and I try now to give myself more forgiveness for some of that because it's like, well, no, of course we did.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like the problem would be still like with time and maturity and family and all of these things to still be there. Yeah. I like to put my hand on the fire from time to time, but like I don't want to live in it, you know? And I think but it was kind of beautiful too.
Yeah.
You know, but there are things I'm just like, what the hell was I thinking?
Also, you grow up and you realize like what you've built, your legacy with what you've built with your cancer foundation, right? What your catalog of music and your songwriting, the next 20 years of your life, because the legacy that you've already built is so concrete and strong, in my opinion, what you do on top of that, you're so much closer to game-changing results from effort that is not it's not a stretch for you because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
It's not a stretch for you to go write a brilliant song. It's not a stretch for you to go and discover something artistically because you've been in this, right? And you understand the process so much.
Yep.
That's the most exciting thing to me.
This is what excites me now.
Is that the legacy that you've built is so concrete and foundationally sound in what you've achieved that it's not a stretch that your Cancer Foundation won't do something incredible because it's set up and has been established. It's not a stretch that you artistically won't do something incredible. So that's the interesting part is the optimist looks forward and goes, all I see is possibility.
Yep.
The 30 years I spent getting here, that was actually the hard part. If I said you have to go back and redo all of it, you'd be like, I don't think I can.
Well, I think now it's like big swings, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's fun now. It's like what we were doing when we were kids, we were taking a big swing, but in a way we didn't really like, it was like, well, yeah, of course everybody wants to be in a band. Like why wouldn't you know, like I think now it's kind of like, okay, I have this. Sometimes it's daunting, right? Like sometimes you have a catalog of songs and you're like, man, it's hard. You've got to beat these things, you know? So there's a little, I still carry that with me. Like I still want to write a better song than the ones I wrote before. That's a challenge, but it's also like, but what else is there, right? Like what else can I get into the mix with that brings me joy? You know, that's fun. And like you said, world building and gets me to work with weirdos that I would never have dreamed of working with. Like, how can I use some of that legacy to get me in rooms with strange people that bring exciting things into my life? And that's kind of like, what's the new sandbox? How do we play?
Yeah.
Because that's what the joy of this life has been, is that like my job has been to play.
Yeah.
You know?
And you had strong, I mean, Something Corporate, Jack's Mannequin, and your solo stuff is all like strong. It's all like equally, they rival each other. Do you know what I mean? Which is a hard thing to do.
It's because I'm always competing with
like
myself. I'm competing with myself all the time.
But your fan group, right? Yeah. They all know you from different things. And they know you for all three. Yeah. But you could have people who came in on Something Corporate or that came in on Jack's Mannequin. Yeah. And it's really interesting. It's not everyone achieves that. But so what are the dates of the shows?
They're in August. Yeah. There's I think it's the last 3 weekends in August.
Tickets on sale.
Tickets on sale. And then more will come up. Solo dates will come up and whatnot. But yeah, I'm never good at promoting things. Yeah.
What's your main Instagram?
AMN The Wilderness.
There we go.
Yeah.
We promoted your Instagram.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude. Well, Andrew, thanks, bro. Thanks for coming. Awesome. Thank you for listening to this episode of Artist Friendly. You can also watch the episodes on Spotify. Spotify premium users get no commercial breaks on my show. Make sure to follow, like, and comment because I always read the comments.